Review of what we were doing yesterday. Sari realizes that when she makes 12 sales calls to 12 stores, so right now she's going to 12 stores, she sells 60 boxes per store, which would be a total of 720 boxes that she sells. Every time she makes an additional sales call, so that one's going to go up by what? Ones. So we don't have a lot of room here, so I'm just going to go 12 plus 1x. Every time she does that, she decreases her sales average by 3 per store. So this one is going down by what? So how would we write that? Okay, so X is really the number of additional stores that she goes to, or the number of drops in boxes sold, either way. All right, find the number of stores she should visit to maximize the number of boxes she sells. So if I go to set up a window, look at this. Can you tell me what the X value is going to be restricted to? How many times could you take 3 away from 60? 20 times? That's okay. But it's a kind of just a cue for how big of a window. If you did it too big, it'd be okay. What are we going, what's up and down? It represents how many boxes sold. So we know we're up near 720. So I would probably just go up to like 1,000. Okay, can you type that in real quick, this algebraic expression? You better beat me, because I don't even have it turned on. I swear, a bug went in my hair during the fire drill. Okay, it was 60 plus x, is that right? No, that was minus. 20 plus x? Okay, 12 plus x, and then 60 minus 3x. Okay, and we said the window would be good at, was it 20 or 30? 20? And up to 1,000, okay. Is there a maximum in that window? Yes, there is. Can I calculate where that maximum occurs? Anybody having trouble calculating maximums? In some of my classes, students aren't getting this left-bound, right-bound thing. You have to go clearly to the left and to the right of where the maximum is so that it calculates the highest y value that occurs between those two little lines. And you have to go until it says maximum down here. And this is calculator error. Okay, everybody's answer should round to 4. Anybody stuck? Some of you who aren't getting your calculators out are making me nervous. So we found the maximum occurred at 4, but that's not the answer to the question. Okay, the maximum number of boxes was whatever the y was, 768. But in order for me to sell 768, I need to go to find the number of stores. X is not the answer to the question. Anybody know what the number of stores I should visit? Okay, this is the number of additional stores. Yep, because we need to put the 4 in here. You could also put the 4 in here, but it doesn't matter. This is what we wanted, the number of stores. So if we put the 4 back in, number of stores, should go to is 16. All right, that's the step people forget when they do it on the quiz. I tried to highlight in bold, like total number of stores you should visit. In other words, put the number back in, okay? All right, if you did poorly on yesterday's complex number quiz, you want to retake it for a third try. There's a remediation over there on 0.8, but there is also one that says extra quad formula practice, and it only has 4 problems on it. You only have to do 2 of them. Okay, but you should grab those remediations and then see me for a retake. on that little section. Any questions about that? All right. Today we're going to talk about evaluating a function at a value, including from a graph, evaluating rate of change, actually that's tomorrow I think, and determining if something is a function. The first thing on your notes at the top is it gives you a little bit of room to know what these different kinds of numbers are. Okay, the inside of the real number system, okay, there are rationals, which is everything that can be written as a fraction. So it could be written as a fraction. So repeating decimal, ending decimal, whole numbers, integers, okay. Irrational are separate part of the real number system. They don't fall under any of these things, okay? Irrationals are like crazy square roots, like crazy people, irrational. Integers are whole numbers, positive and negative. Whole numbers start with 0 and natural numbers start with 1. I'm not going to ask you that on a quiz, but I remember it this way. When your mama taught you to count naturally, she started at 1, right? Okay. The whole numbers then include 0. And then when you get the negatives, it's integers. And then rationals versus irrationals, and the whole thing is real. Here's another picture, okay? Natural, including 0 is whole, integers, rational, irrational. Any questions? You need to write any of those examples down at the top. I don't think it asks on a quiz necessarily. Everybody got what they want? Okay. What we're going to introducing here is the idea of interval notation and describing a set of numbers. Now, one way to describe a subset of real numbers is to use what's called set builder notation. We are not going to use that in this class, but it is on standardized tests that way. So I want you to see it, okay? It says you choose a variable and then list the properties of the variable and tell which set of numbers the variable belongs to. It's used on standardized tests, so I put it in here. We're going to use interval notation. Does everybody remember interval notation from last year? You got to know the difference between when to use those, and you use these guys. Is that looking familiar? Okay, this is what we're going to use in this class. You use brackets, the square guys here, if the endpoint is included. When you use parentheses, you are not including the endpoints. Okay, and it says if something goes infinitely small, use negative infinity. If it's going infinitely large, use positive infinity. And when you use an infinity, you always put a parenthesis next to it. And it should always read least to greatest. So it's not okay to write this. Does everybody see what I'm saying? Because if you were to graph that, it would go from negative infinity on the left up to 4. So it should read that way. All right, so real quick, use set builder notation to say x is greater than 18. They would write this. X, this little bar reads such that x is greater than 18, where x is an element of the real number system. If you see that on a test or quiz, it won't be in my class, but in a standardized test like the SAT, this is all they're saying. X has to be greater than 18, okay? I suppose if it said here it was a number, instead of the real number system, it said it had to be an integer or something, but generally that they use that kind of notation. Interval notation, we would just say from 18 on up to infinity. All right? 18 is not included in the set. So one more time, here's set builder notation. X such that x is between negative 3 and 16, where x is a element of, anybody remember what z was? I want to say integers. I don't even remember these letters. Z was integers? Okay. Good to know. I won't be using that because I don't like that. This little chart is also in your book. if you can't remember, like including here would be square brackets. If you had not including A but including B, you would look like this. Everybody remember square brackets, parentheses? Okay. So how can we do these four? Number one. Destiny, you got number one? Okay, guys. She right or not? Okay. If you can't remember, like, draw a number line, right? -2, and this is pointing, it's to the left, it's less than, so it's going this way. A number 2, who's got this one? Brandon? Parentheses or brackets? Parenthesis on both because it doesn't say or equal to. Everybody good? Okay. 5 is super easy. It's just everything between 5 and 15, and because the or equal to's aren't there, it's just parentheses. That's one that looks like an ordered pair to me, right? It would depend on the context of the question. All right, but what about number 4? Anybody think they got that one? Okay. So this one, good job. Yep. Yes. Okay. And even though it says or, we use the symbol together with. Okay, so the number could fall down there, or the union of these answers are also acceptable. How would you do this side, guys? And I already messed it up, didn't I? Yep. Brackets. Yep. Everybody okay? All right, so that part of the homework will be easy peasy. A relation is any rule that relates or pairs the elements in set A with the elements in set B. A is called the inputs, which we call the domain, which we usually use X for, right? B contains the outputs or the range, which we use Y for. A function is a relation that assigns each element in X to exactly one element in Y. So the Y's can't repeat. So generally the domain represents the X value and the range represents the Y value. We change the X value, it is independent, and we say the Y value depends on what we put in for X, right? How we doing? All right, so is this a function? Two 8 and 3 8 are both paired with this, right? So the domain would be 1, 2, 3, 4. The range is 6, 8, 9. They don't use 7, but it is not a function. The relation from A to B is a function. No, it's not a function. If we graph 1, 6, 2, 8, 3, 8, 4, 9, yes, it is a function. Right? Did I graph it right? So what did I do wrong a minute ago? Because this passes the vertical line test, yes? All right, so let's talk about, so the vertical line test, it is a function as long as any line I draw anywhere can never go through more than one of the points. So what would it look like if it was not a function? If these 2 points were the same? So it was like 2, 4, and 2, negative 4. So what can't repeat? The x's. Good thing your math teacher is with it today. I'm blaming that one on my cold, okay? So if you wrote that down, go back and fix it. The x's can't repeat. You can't have the same x value assigned to two different y values. Somebody fix me. Glad I figured that out, but would have been a more effective video. Okay, is this a function? You don't have these, so just look up here real quick. Does it pass the vertical line test? This is a function. What about this guy? Failed. This guy? Yes. Yep. All right. So is this one a function? Can you tell from this list? -8, -5, 0, 3, 6. Is this a function? No. Is this a function? Okay, this is where it gets a little tricky. They say you could solve for y, but if you solve for y and added 2x over to the other side, what would you have to remember when you square rooted? Plus or minus. Okay? So what does that mean? If I put a 2 in here, I get 5 plus 4 or 9, the square root of 9. What do I get out? Or, yeah. So I put a 2 in, I get out a 3 and a -3. Does that work? No. Okay. This actually, the graph would look like this, like up here. It actually not like quite like that, but anyway. It's a sideways parabola. Okay, this equation does not represent a function because there will be two corresponding y values, one positive and one negative, for the same x value. So the x is assigned to two different y values. All right. So quickly do this. Draw a graph of a function, draw a graph that's not a function. Can you handle that? A, B. What would you like to draw for A? A parabola or a line.
Y equals X.
Okay, that is a function. It says draw a graph, though. What's not a function? Sideways. Absolute value of y equals x would be an equation. Okay, to solve, this is evaluating a function. This is example 2 at the bottom. To evaluate a function, replace the independent variable with the given value from the domain and simplify. Remember these? You've been doing these in Essential Algebra 1, right? So put the -4 in everywhere there's an x. Is this somebody going to get this wrong still, though? Possibly because they forget some parentheses when they type it in their calculator.
Put in -3.
Yeah, thanks. This was supposed to be -4. Wow. Okay. I need help. -64 times 4. Negative. What is it, 343? I don't even know what that is. Somebody help me out. -172, is everybody agreeing? Anybody stuck? Okay, what happens when we put a 2a in? Oh, all of a sudden everybody gets it wrong, right? So it's 4 times 2a cubed plus 6 times 2a squared plus 3 times 2a. Okay, it's pre-calc. Unless it's horrendous, I'm going to expect you to simplify. So 4, what's 2 cubed? 2 cubed is 8 and a cubed. Why can I do that? When yesterday it said this, and you can't just square them and get 16 plus 4i squared. Yes, because this had a plus. There is no such thing as distributing across addition. These are just 2a times 2a times 2a. Back here we have 2a times 2a, which would be 4a squared. Back here we have a 6a. Okay, so we end up with a 32a cubed plus a 24a squared plus a 6a that can't be combined. Everybody okay? No. Can you just divide out a 2, guys? This is what it asked you to do. You don't want to factor something out. Okay, it didn't say factor. This is simplest form. They're up here. Did you need X? Don't factor. Okay, this is it. It said to put it in and find the values. And you obviously, okay, please do not throw away and just divide out a 2a and throw it away. But don't factor it out either. All right, example 2, do you have this one? Or did I just do that one? Just kidding. I'm on the next page, yes? Okay, this is a piecewise function. Later in this chapter, we're going to graph piecewise functions, and we're going to write equations for piecewise functions. But today, all we have to do is evaluate. So it says, if g of 1, which of these 3 rules do I put 1 into? And how do I know? Well, is 1 less than or equal to 4? Is 1 between 4 and 10? Or is 1 greater than or equal to 10? It's the first one. So therefore, the 1 goes into the first one. Everybody see what I'm talking about? So 1 is less than 4, so it goes in up here. Square root of 1 plus 1. What's the square root of 1? 1 plus 1 is 2. All right, the next one says g of 3. What rule? Same rule still. So I'd have square root of 3 plus 1, which doesn't simplify unless you give me a decimal approximation. I'm just going to leave it. Number 6, or the g of 6. Now, that doesn't go into that first rule anymore, right? G of 6 falls between 4 and 10. So what is the answer? Yeah, you put in a 3, or I'm sorry, you put in a 6 into that rule, so we get 18. And last one, g of 10. Yeah, 10 is greater than or equal to 10, right? So it has to go in this rule. So then it's 2 times 10 squared minus 15. I'm going 185. Anybody? This would be 100, 200 minus 15. Seem to be working. Okay. So, do we need to practice this? Do you think you could put the negative 1 in yourself effectively? I don't want to run out of time here. That would be 10. This would become 1 plus 8 plus 1. If I put a 2x in, I expect you to simplify. What does that become? Somebody? Anybody? 4x squared minus 16x plus 1. Anybody disagreeing? Please fix me if I'm wrong. Okay, this is the one everybody gets wrong, and so therefore I put it on the next quiz. Just to be mean and cruel. Put x plus 8 in. So we have x plus 8 quantity squared minus 8x plus 8 plus 1. Okay, this is what they get wrong. You have to FOIL out x plus 8 times x plus 8. That should give you an x squared plus what? An 8x and another 8x and a 64. Then when I distribute back here, I get a minus 8x minus 64, because I'm distributing a negative. And then there was that little plus 1 on the back. So x squared plus 8x plus 1. Did anybody else get that? I was writing kind of scribbly. Yes? Brandon, did you need me to talk you through that again, or are you okay? I know it's very scribbly. All right, piecewise, do we need to do this one? Which rule does the 3 go into? Yeah, the middle one, because it says or equal to 3 right there. So I'd have 2 times 3 plus 10 would be 16, I think. What about 8.5? This is a weird one. What does it say? For everything above 8, the answer is just 42. So this is 42. It doesn't say 42x. It says 42. That's a very real world. Piecewise functions are very real world. If you go to send a package, right? If it weighs between this and this, it costs you this. If it weighs between this and this, it costs you this. If it weighs over this, it costs you this. Okay? So it's not based per ounce of your package. It's if you're in this range. So that's a piecewise function. All right, guys. Is this a function? The input is a student's ID number. The output is a student's grade on a physics exam. No. Because you don't get to put your student ID number in and it determines your grade, right? That's a no. The input is a car's license plate number and the output is the car's make and model. Okay, but can X repeat? The license plate number goes in and your car has a make and model, right? So everyone is going to match up with 1. The Y's can repeat. A different license plate number can be assigned to the same make and model. There's more than one beautiful Toyota Camry like mine. Okay. But that's Y repeating. So it is. That's a yes. Okay, what about these two? This is a sine curve. What do you think? And this one? Okay. All right, we're going to talk about domain and range. I'm not sure it's on tonight's homework. But the domain of a function is the set of possible x values. The range is the set of possible y values. Use the graph below to describe the domain and range. Remember, domain is left to right, and range is bottom to top, because it's always least to greatest. So, what is the furthest left value you can get on number 3? Yes, it's an x value. Domain is x value. Now, does that -4 get a square bracket or a parenthesis? Parenthesis because of the open circle, right? And then what's the furthest right? Because of this arrow, it continues to go to the right. So you say to infinity. All right, domain is y values up and down. We have to go least to greatest, so we start at the bottom. What is the lowest y value? -1 square or parenthesis? Parenthesis. And because of the arrow, it's going up, so we have to infinity. Is it -infinity to infinity for both on the next one? No. Left to right? Yes. X values go -infinity to infinity. But range, there's a bottom, right? What is the bottom y value? 0. And is it hitting? Well, there's no open circle there, so we have to include 0. And then it points up. Both ends. You good on that, Martin? Okay. This one messes people up, and I put it on the quiz, so pay attention. Left to right. 9 is not a function. 7 is a function, I think. Yeah, I can't really tell over here. We're going to go it is a function, but it doesn't matter. You can still list the domain and range, possible x and y values, even if it's not a function. I know I would never ask that on a quiz, but left to right, guys. -5 to +4 inclusive. This is what people get wrong, though. What's the range? It has to be the lowest it goes to the highest it goes. So it's -3 to 3, and it appears to be hitting both of those, yes? Okay, this one is not a function, but could we still, what is the furthest left to right? Yeah, -3 is the furthest left, and it's not included, but going to the right, it hits 3. Bottom to top? This is interesting discussion. -2 is the bottom, but is it solid or open? It depends. Are any of these values in here actually staying at -2? I can't really tell, can you? If they were, then it would be included. Because even though it's open over here, if some of those y values hit, then it would be included. Up at the top, though, it's clear that it doesn't ever actually get to 3, right? Whoops, parenthesis. I just said that in there. Yeah, that's a bad question. Okay, 'cause it's not even a function. Oh, we did it! Okay, so the assignment tonight is listed on your homework check like this, okay? It's on the homework check, it's listed that you're going to do these tonight, but you're actually more prepared to do these and then these 3. Now, Miss Abruzzo did tell me that there's a problem. One of those we changed last year. Let me see if I can figure it out. Here's the bookwork so you can get started, because you still got what? Did we 23? Yay! I win. Finally got one in. All right, I'll put this up, but I think there's one down here that she said we should change. 30, 31. What else was assigned? Thought it was in the 30s. 37 maybe? Well, that's interesting. I didn't even include a 37. All right, I'll try to figure it out. Yeah, but it doesn't.
On the purple sheet it says 37, but on like
Oh.
homework check 3, the white sheet.
What does it say on the homework check?
On the white one?
Yep.
7, 18, 19, 27, 30, 31,
30, 31, and then what?
30, 31, 51, 52, and 57.
Okay, so it is right. Okay, so on the white homework check, that's what you should actually be doing. I fixed it. It probably doesn't match the purple one you got today. There, now it's right up here too, yes?
So add 37.
No. Okay, sorry, now the video's right. It's right on the homework check, I think. And I think it matches what I put on the assigned. I circled 30 and 31. And then does it jump to 51 or something? 50. I know this is right because I used the white sheet when I made this morning. Okay, Hofbauer, your brain is. Okay, so start here. If you want to, if you don't have a book, there's books up here if you want. I need to stop the video.